Hello, I am Homunculus and this is my review of Nosgoth, the multiplayer vampire hunting game. Now, I've pretty much explained what it is. It's a 4v4, you've got team deathmatch and a siege mode, sort of humans against vampires in this sort of fantasy gothic setting. Now the game is, well, very cheap and it's still in beta, so that's probably why. I think there's a closed beta currently, but it's sort of you can pay to go into the closed beta. It's a bit confusing. And I brought this on Steam. It's on sale right now. I don't know if it's still on sale for, I think it's about £1.50, which is quite good. I mean, it's normally about £4, I think, so it's not like you're saving a lot, but it's still a fun game to just try. Now, game, basically how it works is there's 4v4 in an arena. Now, I've only played the team deathmatch mode. I have played about 3-4 hours of this, and you've always got to get 30 points, and each kill is worth a point. So it's also got this weird thing where instead of doing best out of 3, it actually tallies up how many points you got out of 2 rounds. So instead of saying, oh, one person won the first round, one person won the second, if it's very close, it can end up being, well, even closer with these 2 rounds. There's 4 classes in each, so you get 2 to begin with. So 2 classes in each. I think they're called Hunter and Alchemist for the humans, which is sort of a general guy with a crossbow. And an alchemist is sort of your demo man. She has a launcher, make a fire. Now, the game is quite fun. I found it really fun, and it's good with friends. If you've got a bunch of people online, well, 4 people online, it can be quite fun to go out in a team, like any team game. I personally like the aesthetics, I think it looks good. It's an interesting game to play. One side is very much about range. The humans have no melee characters, although everyone can melee, while the vampires are the complete opposite. They have no range characters, they only have melee. So it's, yeah, you play both sides in a game, so you really get 2 different points of view in a way. It's very competitive, I would say, seeing as them points tally up. It's not like, oh, if you won twice, that's it, game over. Well, it is, but it's it can be very close, and I've been in games when they're like 6 points up, so 6 kills up or whatever, and then we brought it back. So it can be quite good like that if you start working as a team. It's relatively cheap, like I said, which is also very good, because cheap things are good. You're paying £1.50 for a game that you might get a couple of hours out of. That's good. The power difference is quite interesting in the game. That sounds quite weird, but it's power difference in the sense of a normal human versus vampire won't win. Generally won't win. If you've got 2 people of the same skill, I reckon the vampire would win that, and that seems weird to have that unbalance, but it works quite well when there's a team of 4 of you, because you end up figuring out which are the priority targets. Vampires generally have slightly less health than humans, apart from like the bigger vampires, and they also have different ways of dealing with people. So you've got your general sniper, you've got your close range guy, you've got your medium range guy, and then you've got your mortar. They're all about working as a team, and you can change your loadout during games, so you can customize it to how you play. While the vampires, they have a much more melee orientated game. It's about sneaking up and then trying to get into combat before the other can shoot them. Now this ends up being interesting because you've got one side trying to stay together in a corner while the other side are literally trying to do some sort of special SAS maneuver or something like that, just try and get into the fight, which plans out to be generally interesting games, and I like it because of this. There are a few problems, I think. You can disregard some of them because they are still in beta, but this is paid beta, so there's only 4 classes in each race, but they are adding new classes, so this ends up being, again, still in beta, and so these classes should add a new thing. And there's so much difference within the classes. I mean, for the vampires, you've got your sort of general guy, and then you've got your tank, and then you've got a flyer, and then you've got a guy called a deceiver who will actually turn into a different, into one of their characters, kind of like the spy. There is a real money shop, which is interesting, mostly because the real money shop you end up, of course, you can buy upgrades and whatever, and the upgrades are good because they don't seem to take away too much. There's nothing that stand out best. It's not pay to win, but just to have a real money shop there, especially in a beta, is commonplace now, but it is something that I think needs to be missed a bit. Sometimes you get very one-sided matches. At the beginning, when you start playing, it's going to seem that one side is slightly overpowered. Either the vampires are, because of course they can climb buildings, they can get away easy when they start to die, and because they can pounce on you and you don't know how to play that well, it ends up, you feel that you can't match up against vampires and that humans are under sort of developed. While when you actually start playing like a couple hours in, you'll notice that stuff like the bowlers, the fact that you've got the range and stuff over the vampires means that it is quite even. If the vampires get a jump on you, humans can still get away from that, but it just really depends on skill level there. Now you've got, as I said, a human side and vampire side. Now the human side is very rangy, but I also feel quite generic. There's nothing interesting with humans, and that can be said for most games. You get a guy with a crossbow, a guy with a grenade launcher, a guy with 2 pistols, and a guy with a bow. That is pretty much, although custom-wise they're different, they look different. Generally you're just still firing a gun. While the vampires, they have range, not range, what am I talking about? They have flying, you have one guy that can charge, you have another guy that can pounce, you have a guy that can literally turn into a different character. So that ends up being quite interesting. So vampires generally have they have a more cooler, but they're funner to play because you've got the different ways to play. That's pretty much my review. I always hope the game's good. Thank you for watching.